Oh my god, you're not ready for this. Welcome to the Chesscraft International Tournament, Round 1, and this is where everything begins for our 36 contestants. They had to play 2 games on this board, number 1 created by Wish Axolotl. This board is not so complicated as it looks, like a classic chessboard with some changes. The peasants are regular pawns but without double move advance and without en passant. The cannon acts like a rook but needs to jump over a piece to capture. The promotion is also changed, as the peasants can only promote to knight, bishop, rook or cannon. That said, let's dive into the games, and man, there are lots of things to say about them. So the first match played on the tournament opposed the Vietnamese Chesscraft YouTuber A1HQ2C against the Kazakh ex-mad chess candidate 1254. This is game 2 and A1HQ2C has won the first game, but this second game is way more spectacular. Before, d6, g4, the two sides dragon, d5 pushing in the center, d4, and bishop to e6. Here white has lots of moves, but A1H2QC decided to go for a sliding cannon with c4. Peasant captures, knight recaptures, and queen to c6, which is already a mistake. There are lots of lines here, but white got the most violent one with cannon to d3 check. The only good move here is king to c8, but 1254 played knight d7, which is completely losing. I hope that you all saw the trick, else just pause the video. Alright, the move is knight to e5 and the queen has nowhere to go thanks to the cannons. So here black played queen to c4, and after knight captures and bishop recaptures, this game got quickly in white's favor. Even black still had some tactics, but it was clear after all the trades that white had the advantage. However, something unexpected happened on the 23rd move of the game. After rook to d2, the game just crashed. So after some discussion between the two players, A1HQ2C agreed to a draw. But as you perfectly saw, white was about to win next move. This guy is the biggest gentleman on earth. Subscribe to his channel, he really deserves this. Alright, so the second match played on the tournament opposed the Spanish cowcat Maria Kawaii against the Brazilian YouTuber His R Pride. This is the second game and His R Pride crushed Maria, but this game was really intense. Let's go. d4, g6, before, d4, g4, the double side dragon, center variation. Bishop to g7, bishop to b3, e6, knight to d3, b6, and finally e4, which transposed into a double hedgehog opening. Knight to d7, bishop to g3, bishop to b7, the 4 bishops variation, and Maria castled. His R finished his development with knight to e7, and Maria opened with f4. d5, striking in the center. We have peasant captures, peasant recaptures, and queen to f3 putting pressure on d5. So comes knight to f6 and the aggressive f5. After peasant captures and peasant recaptures, we have the surprising cannon takes g3, and after cannon recaptures, queen to d7. This is now a big tactical war for the control of the squares f5 and d5. We have knight to e3, and knight to e4 infiltrating. Cannons goes back on g2, and f4. We have a nice tactical move with queen to g4, forcing the bishop to retreat back on f8. Then knight to f4 and His R Pride castles. Cannon to e2 putting pressure on the knight, cannon to f7, cannon to f3 defending f5. And here His R got a pretty interesting tactic with rook to b8 threatening the queen. The only good move here is knight to g6, but Maria unfortunately played queen to h3, which is completely losing. I hope you all saw the trick. Rook to h3, and the queen is completely dead. So this is in this position on move 21 that Maria Kawaii resigned the game, but that was a nice one. So let's move now to the third match, which opposed PXL from United States against Nidsons from Tunisia. This is game 2 and Nidsons has already won the first game, but this game has a completely unexpected end. d4, d6, bishop captures h7, the dragon fire. Rook recaptures and d4. We have bishop to d7, knight to d3, knight to c6, and both players castle. king to a2, and now begins the fight for the center. e6, e5, g6, and after peasant captures and bishop recaptures, the second knights join the party, and the big mess begins. We have knight captures, peasant recaptures, and bishop to b5 to get a tempo. But it didn't work because the cannon can capture with check, and after king to a8, e takes d6, c takes d6, and cannon captures d9, the position is better for white. But that didn't last, because PXL managed to blunder a whole knight out of nowhere, and Nitsons found an opportunity to gain back some material. But that also didn't last because he managed to blunder a full rook and a full cannon. And now white is completely dominating the chessboard and slowly but surely going for a queen exchange. And this is in this position on this move 25 that both players agreed to a draw. Bruh. Alright, whatever, let's move to the next game, which opposed Ian 999 against Primal Pineapple, both from United States, and my god, what a game. This game is the most chaotic game of the tournament as everything was thrown away, but this is still fun to watch. d4, d6, bishop takes h7, bishop takes h3, the double dragon fire. Instead of capturing, white plays e4, and black answers with b6. But Ian finally found a winning trade, so after bishop captures, rook recaptures and rook captures, white is up a knight. We have then queen to d7 targeting the rook, and white defends it with the knight. Knight to c6, bishop to e3, and e6 preparing a push. White tries to defend with knight to c4, but Primal Pineapple pushes on d5, so Ian counter pushes on d5, but Primal Pineapple counter pushes on e5. This is now problematic for white, and here comes the complete chaos. You're not ready for this. Peasant captures, queen captures, bishop captures, peasant captures, peasant captures, peasant captures, and now the unreal move before. We have cannon captures b1, which is an even more big blunder because cannon captures g8 with check, winning 2 rooks. Even white is now better, he still managed to blunder a full bishop, but got at least a very convenient queen trade, and after peasant captures and peasant recaptures, Primal Pineapple decided to resign the game as he was losing on material. You found that game ridiculous? Just wait for the next one, which opposed the Puyo Tetris Simprestet against the Brazilian YouTuber GD Elson. Don't even try to see a logic explanation of each move, you wouldn't find. Here we go. d4, g6, bishop to d3, e6, knight to c4, and black decides to capture on a3. Knight recaptures, black plays knight to c6 and restet castles. We have b6, and white just gave up a free pawn, but black prefers to trade his knight for a bishop. White refuses the offer, but then comes c6, and after peasant captures and peasant recaptures, white is forced to accept the trade. But he still refuses and gives his bishop for a pawn. What a stubborn. We have queen to d2 check and queen blocks. f4 tries to kick the knight, but GD Ailson goes for a brutal triple fork. The only problem is that the cannon can actually capture the knight. So black aligns his cannon to go for the king. We have e4 kicking the queen, but black sacrifices the queen. For absolutely nothing. We have cannon takes b1 check and knight blocks. Cannon takes the knight and black may have get some compensation? Absolutely not, as he got completely destroyed in few moves. Ladies and gentlemen, here comes the final blast. There are a lot of other games played, but I got a final game for you, the most brutal one of this round, and it has been played between the Vietnamese YouTuber Wasted and the legendary ancient space aliens. Be prepared for some violence across the board. b4, c6, knight to c4, and b6, the cannon slide gambit. Cannon captures, and Wasted decided to go for a very aggressive king attack. So cannon captures and bishop recaptures, then e4 and cannon b7, preventing white from castling later. White finds a nasty counterline with knight to b6, forcing the rook to go on a7, then knight to d5 check, opening the king in the center and grabbing the rook. But black refused and put the king back on d8. Bishop d6 check with tempo, king to c8. Knight to c7 was better, but as white wanted the rook, we have knight captures e7 check, and after knight recaptures, the bishop finally takes the rook. Wasted tries to open a new line with g6, white continues to control the king side with queen to e3. So this is a race to get each side, so we have knight back to g8, cannon to b3 to remove the defender with a cannon trade, bishop to d6, rook to b2 preparing to push, knight to f6, and bishop to d4 trying to stop black, but this is already too late. Cannon captures g3 with a fork, forcing a cannon trade and trapping the rook. White captures the knight on f6, but after rook to g8 and f4, black finally snaps the rook. We have then bishop d5, queen to e7, and queen to b6, leading a strong attack. There is only one move that doesn't lose and Wasted finds it. d6 kicking the bishop. But comes the very aggressive bishop captures f7, threatening the rook and trying to deflect the queen to capture the peasant. So rook to f8, and cannon to f3 with tempo. But that doesn't save the position because d takes e5, and even the discover attack gets refuted by bishop takes f4 check, and after knight captures, rook recaptures and black enters white's territory being up a peasant. Bishop to f5 check was best, but instead ancient space aliens played king to e3. We have rook back to f6 and finally bishop to f5 check. Black tries to defend with knight to d7, but the cannon takes the rook, and the field became very dangerous. Black defends with cannon to f7, and white decides to prepare a cannon skewer. Unfortunately, this is the big mistake of the game, as this is a violent mate in 6 for black. I hope you all see this one now, else just pause the video. Well, so this is now the end of this round 1 of the tournament. You can see just here the results for all the games played of this round. If you want to get more info, there is a link in the description to get the moves of all the games. The video recap of round 2 will be released next week. I hope to see you around. Bye.